What if I told you a mayor ends up homeless in his own town and his city would not help him? Put up the picture. That's exactly what happened to Craig Coyner, the former mayor of Bend, Oregon. You see, Craig was elected mayor in 1981 during a recession which gutted the timber industry, leaving many homeless by the railroad tracks. So this mayor worked with Mr. Martin to raise funds for them, at times going out to the railroad to distribute donated clothes personally and 19-cent cheeseburgers picked up from the local Arctic Circle. His connections helped people find cheap places to live at a time when rooms could be rented for as little as $75 a month. The turning point began with gentrification, and the mayor was focused on improving his community, no longer fit the city's agenda. They wanted a different crop of people. The timber mills were shutting down, but the old mill district began evolving into what today is a ritzy shopping district. You have a spa, got designer jewelry stores. Some people were wary of such swift change. And in 1992, the former mayor was ousted from the city council by rivals seeking to rein in growth. So the former mayor returned to work as a defense lawyer to fight for the less fortunate until his own life began to spiral. The underlying problem was an emerging bipolar disorder. This mayor said compounded because he had turned to drinking as a way to cope. It's called self-medication. On the day after Thanksgiving in 2003, a few years after losing his job, this former mayor was arrested, accused of damaging a woman's car and resisting a police officer. The state bar suspended his license in response to complaints that he was neglecting duties to his clients. Then in 2008 came the worst blow of all. His wife, Patty, died after an illness. There's more. This former mayor had his father die that same month, yet he persisted. Even then, this former mayor was welcoming to people who had lost their housing. He said, stay at my house. It was a very small house, but he told them, I got room for you. Or you can stay in the yard if you want to. Some days he would go down to the Bend Community Center, which served daily meals to the needy, arriving early to help set up coffee or staying late to wash the dishes, but without a job. He was falling behind on his mortgage, and the bank began foreclosure proceedings in 2012. He was evicted from his home. Mr. Coyner found himself camping, sometimes in a tent along the parkway. The mayor of the city, the former elected mayor, was on the road he helped build to prepare Bend for growth. City leaders had anticipated the irony of it. Other times he set up on the property of a group that served homeless veterans, an organization where he was once a board member. He's now hoping to get a meal. The conditions, however, ended up proving too much to bear. Frostbite had damaged the former mayor of this town, had damaged his toe so badly that he had to go back to the hospital at the end of January for an amputation. That's real frostbite. There were complications. After the surgery, he had a stroke that left him unable to speak. His daughter came. Family is now responsive. She sat for hours telling him about her life and introducing him to her husband. You see, they were estranged. The mayor's daughter, Miss Emick, held his hand and bowed her head. Mr. Coyner reached over and touched her head. She wondered how the city her father loved had missed so many opportunities to help him. If he had been a dog, she said, somebody would have rescued him a long time ago. He died February 14th, 2023. A man that literally advocated for the least of these becomes homeless in his own city. And because of all the massive growth in policy and direction, we don't have time for you, Mr. Mayor. The city's moved on. See, the mayor wanted heart to be at the center of policy. Did he make some mistakes? Of course he did. We all do. But the man had a good heart. And I wanted to highlight this story because it's important to note sometimes you have to come against false narratives because truth would get missing inside of them. Rickey, what are your thoughts here?
You know, I served the Salvation Army like once a month. I went there. I just recently went to the Salvation Army, and even when my son passed away, before I went to the funeral home to take my son's clothes, I went down there to serve because I needed to see other people that was going through stuff that's situation that was worse than mine, and look in the face of people that's suffering that need a meal. And I'm telling you, man, I have always had compassion and love and respect for the homeless. But one thing about it, I don't care how rich you get or how good you think that you're doing. You know where you've been, but you don't know where you're going. And we have to be careful and mindful as to how we treat people. That's because you don't know whose hands you're going to fall in, and you don't know who's going to have to give you a wipe you clean or hand you a glass of water. And I just say that people get so caught up with money that compassion is lost. We live in a heartless society, and greed and selfishness and everything is about them. And Jesus Christ always talk about the least of these. Here's somebody that served and that was so committed to his community that he gave his life for it. That's absolutely that's really sad. And I hate to hear that.
Yeah, and I want to say this, man. You and I share a heart, a real heart for the so-called least of these, right? And I want to highlight something, man. First time I went over your house, Rickey, there's a guy, a pastor, who didn't have a church, but you met him at the store, and you invited him over to your house for dinner. I thought you all knew each other for decades.
Yeah,
that's just how you are, brother. And that's why we have to echo that heart to others.